now we'll move to something a bit different because we cover data sources, and Italy is in many of these data sources. Unfortunately, we were not able to participate in Chronos 3, but we are in ESS, EVS, and as you will see in the other data infrastructure that we will talk about. So basically, we will give you an overview of some major European cross-national survey infrastructure. Not everyone, but we will focus on the one that we cover today as a research fellow. So the ESS with Ruxandra, EVS with me, and the GGS with Julia, and we will talk a lot about Kronos from a more technical side. And plus, there will be a lot of gifts for you today. I see a couple of people that probably participated also in previous workshop of the series, so probably you already heard about these things, already followed this presentation. So in this case, you can go for a coffee, or you are welcome to stay anyway, of course. In general, why these surveys matter? Because they allow for cross-national comparability and sometimes with longitudinal data, but most of the time with repeated cross-sectional designs. And they follow the highest methodological standards possible. And most importantly, they are open data. So all the things that I will show you today are freely downloadable online with a couple of clicks, sometimes just with a subscription to a portal. And of course, they're conceptually they are essential for social science research and for policy analysis. We start from the European Social Survey, which provide high quality open access data measuring public attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. So there are survey data at the individual level, meaning that, of course, people have been interviewed in relation to the topic of interest. With the with the ESS, we cover a lot of European countries with cross-sectional data, face-to-face interview, with some exception, for instance, during the COVID pandemic, they shift to a mixed mode data collection, and the project started in 2002 with waves of data collection every 2 years. So far, we have 11 waves, and as already said, they are open data. This is just a geographical overview, let's say, of the country that participate or have participated in the ESS. As you can see, there are countries, the one colored in green, that have been present in all the 11 rounds, other than jump in or disappeared in a more discontinuous way. But in general, we can say that nearly every European country has participated in the study at least one time. And more specifically, what does the ESS studies? So the main focus is on social and political attitudes, trust in institution, democracy, immigration, welfare attitudes, and well-being. And the distinctive trait is that there is a core module of questions that are repeated in every wave, so enabling cross-national comparability across time. Plus, there are rotating modules, so some questions that change in each wave and allows the instrument to be more flexible and to cover topics that may become relevant in a specific time. So it is not like a 100% standardized questionnaire, but is more flexible to cover this new emerging topic. And the aim of the ESS is to cover to follow the highest methodological standards possible in the field of survey research. In this way, represent the gold standard for the study of opinions and attitudes in Europe. Then we have the EDS, which is the oldest survey program in Europe, which started in 1981. It is conducted every 9 years. So far, we have 5 waves, and the new one is on field right now. We are collecting data in some countries. It is a large cross-national survey as well, with a different focus compared to the ESS, because the main interest is on value and cultural change. But as the ESS, it's open data. Also, for the EVS, we cover most of European countries. We reached the peak of 47 countries in 2008. Now the numbers are a bit lower, but in general, this is a very good coverage of the whole European panorama. And the focus is on topics such as religion, family values, work ethics, morality, political culture, social norms. So it is a bit different compared to the ESS, not just in the topic, but also in the structure, because it is focused on long-term value change, so cultural change that is slower in its onset. For this reason, it is not necessary to have a data collection every 2 years, like this says, but 9 years, it's probably enough. And it is crucial for the study of deep social and cultural change. And then we have the GGS, that is the Generation and Gender Survey, part of the Generation and Gender Program, the GGP. And this is longitudinal, not cross-sectional. The focus is again different because is on demographic behavior, family, and life course dynamics. But at the same time, the same way as the ESS and the EVS, it's open data. GGS cover not only Europe with a quite good coverage, but also other countries all around the world. So you see South America, Australia, some Asian or Central Asian countries, and consists of two rounds, each consisting of different waves. So being longitudinal, the same people are interviewed several times to enable not only cross-national comparability, but also within individual comparability. And the study started in 2004. And as Yula mentioned, we have data collection running at the moment. The main focus is on fertility intentions and behavior, partnership formation and dissolution, intergenerational relationship, work-family balance, gender roles. So you can see that the topics are really different from the ESS and the EVS. And the distinctive trait is, of course, the longitudinal structure that allows studying life course perspective and micro-level demographic processes. So we can say that it is tailored for the study of familiar and demographic dynamics in a life course perspective, of course. I just provided here a table to sum up the differences and the common traits that this survey infrastructure has. And in general, you might ask when do I need to use each of the service. So, as a rule of thumb, you can rely on the ESS when you're interested in studying trust, democracy, welfare attitudes. When you're interested in comparing countries on political attitudes, and instead the EVS when you're interested in studying long-term value change and topics such as religion, morality, norms, and cultural transformations. And instead, GGS is completely different because it's the best solution when you want to study fertility, partnership, life course transitions, and intergenerational relations. And I put some examples here, but the most important thing is that these infrastructures are complementary rather than competing because they cover different topics. They are structured some way in a similar fashion, but for other characteristics, they are different. So the idea is not to treat them as competing, as competitors in the market of sub-research, but to use them in a complementary way, as we are actually doing in the Infra for NextGen project, which of course aim to put all the information from this server infrastructure in a unique way, like to centralize the information and to make it usable in a single way, as I will show briefly in a while. So indeed, we'll now see some of the instruments, the online tool that we are developing in the course of this InfoFornex Jam project. The first one is the inventory of survey items. So questions basically that have been asked, that have been asked not only in the ESS, EVS, and GGS, but also in the EQLS, so the European Quality of Life Survey, and in the ISSP, the International Social Survey Program, but also in the Eurobarometer. and also Chronos, that as we will see is part of the ESS. So all these questions can be, we made an inventory of these questions because when you need to find questions that you want to use for your analysis, you usually have to run from each website to another one and to download PDF and to search for information and to see if a question was repeated in subsequent waves. So it is really difficult to get out of these like massive flow of information. So our idea was to identify all the questions that were pertinent to at least one of the five next generation EU pillar that are, as you may know, make it green, make it digital, make it equal, make it healthy, and make it strong, and put them all together in an online inventory. And the link is provided here. So we'll move to the inventory. If, okay, I think work. Okay, close some pages. Why is it slow down? Okay, as you can see, we are in the Info Furnace Gen website. It's a page on this website, and basically it is a simple Excel spreadsheet that has been uploaded online and put in a nice fashion to navigate it. And all the questions that are relative to the pillar of the next generation U and are part of this survey infrastructure are present here. And for each question, you have the survey. So in this case, the first row, you have the EQLS, and then you have the year and waves in which the question was repeated. Of course, if the question occurred more than one time, the question text and the response categories. The nice thing is that you can have a proper search, like keyword search. So for instance, you can search for questions containing the word equality, and you see that these are filtered after I click filter. But I can also have other searches like searching by pillar, for instance. In this way, I can filter all the questions that are pertinent to the make it equal pillar. And if I know in advance that I'm only interested in some specific survey infrastructure, for instance, suppose I want to study I want to make analysis just with the ESS, I can select, or a couple of them if I want to use ESS and EVS. And if I'm interested only in some years, I can select them as well. And these are automatically filtered. And of course, I can combine these filters with the keyword search. And the keyword search uh, works with Boolean operators as well, so you can build your own keyword with and, or, and so on. So it is a very nice instrument to centralize the search because with this tool, you don't have to go through each specific website anymore. So to the EVS, SSP, ESS website, and so on and so forth, but you can have a centralized search in this tool, which we believe it is very interesting. So it's a simple but powerful tool. And you can see that the number in general are very high because only with the five survey infrastructure, we have more than 3,000 items, so questions. But if we add the Eurobarometer, we have almost 11,000 survey questions that have been asked in relation to these pillars of this topic. Then, yeah, this is just sorry, larger screen, some information about the inventory, which I already talked about. Then there is the Gezi search. So let me open the page. My internet is a bit slow today, sorry. So Gezi is the German archive of data for the social sciences, and many information are covered here. So for instance, you can also in this website search by directly by survey infrastructure. For instance, all the European values studies, so the ABS data are provided here. So you can download from here all the EBS data. But for instance, you can search also by topic, like for instance, social inequality, and you have research data or variables or other things, also publications that cover the topic of social inequality or whatever thing you might want to search. So many, not all the survey infrastructure, like for instance, the ESS is not present in the GESIS, while ISSP, Eurobarometer, and ISSP, I don't remember, EBS, Eurobarometer, many more are present, but there are many more also independent survey data that are collected here. So if you want to go beyond the main, the five big survey infrastructure in Europe, you can search for more specific data sets in the cases portal. Then we have this e-value tool that basically was developed in the context of the European Value Study. Some key variables were made available in this interactive way. So you can select some variables, just pick a random one like this interest in politics, and you can see the distribution in Europe, and you have the possibility to search by keyword also in this tool, and to select here and then to compare maps and all the things. But we will see more in detail this in the context of the development of this e-value tool, because this tool was very appreciated, and we decided to replicate this tool in the context of the Infra4Next project, covering not just the European value study questions, but all the questions from the infrastructure that I was talking before. So ESS, EBS, Kronos, and the like. So you have other questions here. I'm looking if there is something about inequality. It is work in progress, so many questions will be uploaded later. But just to pick one random, you have average happiness, and you can see the percentage, and you can stratify your analysis by some socio-demographic variables, so gender, age groups, education, and rural-urban dimension, or some combination of them, some. So like young men, young women, and so on and so forth. And you can, sorry, search by keyword. You can compare maps so that, for instance, you can compare the same map in two different years. So here we have the areas on housing in 2000, like in 2011 and 2016. And if you, as you can see, if you pass the mouse over the country, you get the percentage, and there is a link to the inventory in this page, the inventory that we explored before. And there is also the possibility to explore the questions not as maps, but as the with these traditional graph. Okay, just play around. I'm not showing it in detail, but it is built with the purpose to be intuitive in its use. So just go to the link and play around, and there is some settings that um, you can use, and some tutorials. So it's very easy to use. And then there is the GGS teaching dataset. It is not an online tool as those that we already see, but basically, since the GGS it's made of longitudinal data, and longitudinal data are by definition a bit more complicated to use, because you have these repeated information for individuals. So you don't have a row in the dataset for each individuals, but you have multiple rows for individuals. If you are, for instance, at the beginning of your career, it might be difficult at the beginning to becoming confident with this kind of data. And so the GGS has this had this wonderful idea of providing teaching datasets. So basically, datasets that are already arranged in a proper way to conduct longitudinal analysis, and they provide two kind of dataset: a starter dataset, which is more simple with less variables, fewer variables, sorry, and more linear in its structure, let's say, and an advanced dataset that instead contain more variables, and it's really suitable for like panel analysis and the like. So these are tools that I go back to the presentation. Some of them can be used already today for our exercise that you will have in the afternoon after these morning sessions. For instance, if you need to find items, you can use the inventory. And if you already want to explore some cross-national distribution, you can use the InexGen tool with the maps, or in general, beyond the scope of this workshop, if you want to start using longitudinal data, or if you want to explore more sources, you can use the GGS or the GASIS tool. And then, of course, of interest, since we mentioned many times the Kronos data today, but Ruxandra will do it. We cover how to download and how to use online tools for exploring ESS and Kronos data.